Welcome back to Belle Harbor, New York, in the Rockaways, that 11-mile stretch of beach here in Queens, New York. About 4 miles from where I'm standing in Belle Harbor is Breezy Point. Should be a familiar term by now for a lot of people because that's the community that was engulfed by flames after the water came in. They lost about 125 homes, a lot of them belonging to firefighters who had to stand and watch the flames take down their homes because they couldn't reach them themselves.
There's not a single house here that was unaffected.
I said, Margie, act like we're never coming back.
Before water and then fire ripped apart Breezy Point, not much else could.
Everybody knows each other. Everybody looks out for each other. There's no place that I've ever lived is like this.
It's the kind of place where you go to the beach, you don't bring a bike lock, you just leave your bike there.
Breezy Point, Queens got its start as a summer retreat for people to escape the sweltering city. A tight-knit working-class community of beach bungalows founded by police and firemen and known affectionately as the Irish Riviera. Marty Ingram's grandparents bought a home in Breezy Point in the 20s. His family has been here ever since.
Hey, boom.
Ingram's home was flooded badly by Sandy's storm surge, but he considers himself one of the lucky ones, and he would know. Marty is the chief of the volunteer Point Breeze Fire Department, one of 3 in Breezy Point.
Massive fire was burning through most of the early morning. 200 firefighters there trying to contain this.
We were very fortunate we didn't lose the entire community that day.
An October night of impossible challenges began when Ingram's fire station flooded, with more than 40 of the neighborhood's evacuees inside.
The water came up about 4 feet up to the top by the handle in there. It was difficult to abandon the fire station right at the start, but we had no other choice.
As the waters rose, Sandy's 70-mile-an-hour winds spread fire quickly from home to home. Unable to cross 12-foot floodwaters, firefighters could only watch as their own homes burned to the ground. By the time the firestorm was over, 125 houses had been destroyed.
The biggest fear was that somebody was going to die. And being the decision maker, I wanted to make sure nobody died because of a bad decision that would have come from this firehouse.
Marty protected his guys, and almost miraculously, everyone in Breezy Point survived.
The house right in front of me burnt down, and all my neighbors burnt down here. And my house wasn't touched. My wife swears that when we evacuated, she forgot to take her father's ashes. Her father's a retired fireman, and she swears that her father's ashes protected the house. And she go to her grave believing that. I guess I have to believe it too.
6 months later, nearly 500 homes have been destroyed or are slated to be demolished, leaving an eerie quiet where a vibrant community stood for generations.
One of the homes was a friend of mine, who's in the Army Reserves, just came back from Afghanistan, loses his house.
Their own homes uninhabitable. 3 of Ingram's firefighters have slept for the last 6 months inside the damaged firehouse in what used to be the chief's office.
The first floor was all right, but the side of the basements fell in, so everything was destroyed down there. We had to cut off the power of the house. And so we had to lift the house up and rebuild the basement.
Chief Ingram's truck was destroyed, so he'd been riding around Breezy Point on his bicycle until a neighbor saw him and donated this truck.
Once you witness the fury of Mother Nature, if you hadn't been doing it before, you believe in an almighty.
Chief Ingram calls it a miracle that everyone in Breezy Point survived that night with only 2 minor injuries reported. And here with us now in Belle Harbor, Democratic Senator from the state of New York, Chuck Schumer. Senator, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, really good to be here.
Out here in the rain. This is a special place for you personally.
Yes, I was raised about a mile away. I'd come out here with my friends when I was a little kid, dated girls here. I love this beach, and the people here love it, and that's our strength. This place is all going to come back because once you come here, you love it. You're going to stay here and you're going to rebuild.
So emotionally, when you pull through here over the last 6 months, what does it do to you?
It's horrible. You know, water came from both sides. This is a narrow peninsula. It came in from the bay, it came in from the ocean, and there wasn't a block that wasn't flooded. These houses are a little easier. The ones right on the beach still need repair. I rode my bicycle here Saturday, just riding up and down the streets to see how it was. Most people here in the Rockaways have been able to rebuild because there's a 2-family houses. stronger, built a little higher up. The Breezy houses, which were mostly designed as summer bungalows, but people loved it so much they started living there year-round. That's going to take a while.
We've talked to a lot of people around here the last week or so, and there's frustration, as you know, and I know you share some of that frustration.
Sure do.
For how long it took just to get a bill signed by the president. That was 3 months.
Yep.
Now we're 3 months after that.
Right.
Why, for the people here in these homes, is it taking so long to get the money?
Well, first, as you know, there were all the shenanigans in Congress. We in the Senate passed the bill pretty fast, got $60 billion. That's a lot of money. But the number one thing we got in that bill was flexibility, which I'll talk about in a second. The House played game. It took a while longer. And then, because we crafted a new program called CDBG, these people will tell you FEMA, Small Business Administration, it's so narrow and so restricted it doesn't help them. These houses, it could have cost a lot more than $31,000, the FEMA limit to repair. The good news is the city has now, will get approval this week or next. The state just did for what's called CDBG. That is flexible. It allows more money, and it allows you to use the money much more flexibly, and it allows you, particularly in Breezy, to build the houses 3-4 feet up. FEMA had this ridiculous rule. You had to build it exactly as it was before. God forbid another Sandy, the houses are gone again. CDBG will allow the houses to be built. So I am confident, knowing the fiber of the people here, their strength, the beauty of this area. A year from now, this will all be back, bigger, better than ever.
Let's hope so. Joe and Mika are in Asbury Park, New Jersey this morning with a question for you guys.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Mika.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, Senator Schumer. There is frustration. There's obviously frustration. The Rockaways, there's frustration along the Jersey Shore, of course, for the reasons that Willie stated, how long it took for Congress to actually get something done. And now, with 3 months past, even the bill getting passed. So what do you tell them as we move towards the spring and the summer? And they're obviously business owners, family businesses that have been around for generations that are going to feel the terrible impact of the slow rebuild.
Yeah.
What do you tell them about how you help them be made whole?
Here's what I tell them. Because this CDBG money is here, go rebuild, keep your receipts, keep your checks, and you will be fully reimbursed. Instead of a narrow, constricted program that took 4 or 5 years in New Orleans, we have crafted a program that is flexible, and now the money is here. The first $1.7 billion, a majority of which should go to housing, is coming to New York City. Another $1.7 billion for New York State, and then money in New Jersey. And this is what they need. So now they have a green light to begin rebuilding. It took too long. There is no question about it. But I think the next 6 months will be a whole lot better than the previous 6. And that's because we learned from the mistakes of Katrina in how to put this thing together.
Mike Markle?
Go ahead.
You know, Senator, through every American enterprise for centuries, from the Panama Canal to the TVA, there's always been a point person to take care of things, to get things built. For instance, Ken Feinberg, with regard to distributing money to September 11th victims and now Marathon victims. Why hasn't there been a single point person for disasters like this to take care of private insurance companies dealing with citizens who have lost their homes? Just one single person to clear the bureaucracy.
Well, it's because we had 3 levels of government. We had private, insurance, and federal. The person who's been closest to the point person, who's actually done a very good job at the federal level, worked closely with myself, Peter King, and others, is Sean Donovan. And so that worked very, that he is on top of things at the federal level. And I think, that the now that we have this CDBG, he will make sure it gets done. For instance, the city didn't want to reimburse people who had already laid out money. I saw that. I was really outraged. And Sean Donovan and I got to the city, and they changed their minds, and now this money will be used for reimbursement. Not you just don't have to use one of the contractors. There's a lot of bureaucracy. There's much more bureaucracy than there was when we built the Panama Canal. A lot more criticisms from everybody. So if you do something wrong, you get hammered. And so the bureaucrats are more cautious. But I think we can cut through the red tape. I think that, I love this place. This was my congressional district for a long time before I'm senator representing the whole state. And I think it probably will say 6 months from now, it was worth waiting because this program is going to be a lot better than the previous one, and it won't take 5 or 6 years like it did with Katrina.
Senator Schumer, thanks so much for coming out to the Rockaways this morning, and let's hope you keep the pressure on because there are a lot of people here counting on
you. Bet.
Senator, thank you very much.
Thank you, Morty.
And in just a few minutes, Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey will join Joe and Mika live. He has a new announcement today about funding for the recovery in that state. Keep it on Morning Joe. We'll be right back.